Good morning. How the devil are you? Are you good? Are you well? How's your Sunday been so far? We all know how the weekend was. It wasn't very good for us all, was it? Well, you know what time of day it is. It's Sunday. It's 9:30 a.m. It's time for the famous Foxes Aftermath show, run by the fans, for the fans. And this weekend more than anything, your opinion matters. So come on then, lads and lasses. Get them comments in. Come on, let's get going.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Are you ready for the show? Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. We want your views, we want your comments, so join us live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Morning all, how the devil are you? Like I said, how's your weekend been? It's been a bit disappointing really, hasn't it? I bet everyone's feeling a little bit down. What's everyone's feeling so far? My opinion has he gone yet? Because he's got to go. He has got to go. Andy Medhurst, has he bloody gone yet? No, unfortunately he hasn't gone yet. Fanny Foot, yeah, I think we're all thinking that way. Has he gone? Has he gone? Well, we've got two of our biggest content providers on this morning with me to make our feelings known. First of all, it's Mr. Flip Flop himself, Reedy. How are you, pal? Are you good?
That's very rude to say, but I'm good, thank you.
But it's true. It's true. And then we've got the voice of reason, Mr. Tom, drinking out of the same cup. Reedy, which one you got? Oh, he's got Mike Ashley special, innit? How are you, Tom? You all right?
Oh, as I said before, the pause said it all. Didn't think I'd be sitting here today. I'm thinking, even if we lose 2-1, 3-1, you can take that. But to see another second half performance as bad as Brighton away, that's what hurts more than anything. And to see the players, I think, have given up, that even hurts worse. I'm not angry anymore, mate. I'm more embarrassed.
It is. We had a bar full of people last night, Tom, and we just didn't know what to say, and I was gobsmacked, really embarrassed. I mean, Reedy, you were at the game yesterday, weren't you? Mm-hmm. What was it like in the crowd? Full time.
The majority of the time, it was actually quite positive because at certain times in the game, it actually wasn't too bad, and then it got to the point where you went 3-1 down, 3-2 down, and then 4-2 down, and then I was like, "Here we go." It just got worse and worse, and there wasn't too many Rodgers out songs, but it was just everyone moaning about little bits that were doing wrong, Barnes not making runs, things like this. It's just not expected now, is it really?
Yeah. To be honest, I'm lost for word. I've got loads of notes here. I'm lost for word, but it's all not very constructive. It's just all negative comments I've got. Tom, would there be anything positive from the first 7 games we've had in the Premier League?
The first 60 minutes against Brentford, where we played absolutely brilliant. We moved the ball well. We looked a threat, and I think we all sat there and thought, well, play like that against most teams, we'll be all right. And then something changed on that 60-minute mark. They got the goal back, and before we know it, they were 2-2, and the squad just looked shocked. Then against Southampton, we do it again, another home game. Just to point out to Rodgers that we had 2 easy home games to go and win, in my view. Because he's moaning about the hard fixtures.
Really?
He's moaning about, we've had Tottenham, Chelsea, and Arsenal away. Well, you've forgotten about the Brentford at home. You've forgotten about Southampton at home. So for me, minimum, probably should have had 7 points because you've got at least 1 point away from Chelsea. We chucked that one away as well. So we should be sitting here on 7 points and not really be in a situation we are. We're now 7 games in on 1 point. To say that the only positive is 60 minutes, probably at Brentford at home, maybe 45 yesterday. If we could defend corners, we would have been 2-0 up at half time and be laughing. But again, our Achilles heels, that's 19 goals conceded since the start of last season from corners.
Yeah.
It's now 28 games played in the calendar year, 7 wins. This ain't going away and this ain't going to change. And I think Matty Piper hit it on the head yesterday that the time of him turning this round is gone. He's lost the players. And I will say one thing this morning, the positive. James Maddison, after yesterday's game, handled himself absolutely amazing in his interview. For a young man, still young in my view, to stand there and give the interview he did, back his manager when the manager chucked many players under the bus this season and dropped them, speaks volume as a person for him. And look, as he said, he's not bothered about England. The whole England thing doesn't fuss him at the moment. I can understand why. He's probably really annoyed he's not got picked, but he's just going, well, Southgate fancy me. I'm not going to get in the team with Southgate around. So there's the only positive, really. 60 minutes against Brentford and Madison. Someone just put it there, Madison for captain. Do you know what?
Yeah,
It's been a bad shout.
Yeah, the councillor. Reedy, if nothing happens, I don't think anything will happen tomorrow because of the funeral tomorrow. If nothing happens today or Tuesday, do you think the board have resigned themselves for relegation and building for next year if they don't get rid of him today? Or it definitely won't be tomorrow because nothing in the world will happen tomorrow apart from one thing, unfortunately, or Tuesday.
Well, the club. I think the club's still got 2 weeks pretty much to get him gone. Obviously, with the international break now, you've kind of got to get this time to either get him gone before Forest and hopefully it improves us to beat Forest coming up. But I said at the game yesterday, honestly, if we have him in charge against Forest, I could see us losing it. As bad as Forest have been recently, losing to 2 teams that have just come up as well as them, we have to be beating them. And with Rodgers in charge, as good as we've been at times in minutes in the games, again, a set piece any second in the game and we'll probably be 1-0 down. It's just as simple as that.
Like Jack says, morning, Jack. How are you, pal? The board have got to make some big decisions. And do you think they've got a big enough pair to make these decisions? Are they going to make the decision?
Well, time will tell, won't it, really, in my view. If I'm honest, sadly, this is now starting to tarnish Vishai's legacy, isn't it? Not, Vishai built a club that was not scared to make change, not scared to chop it, when things go right. He did it with Claudio. He sacked a title-winning manager after we just lost 2-1 to Seville in the Champions League. Last 16, he could have gone, well, he's lost 2-1. We're still in the tie. I'll give him a few games. No, he didn't see it working still. He changed it. Top's made big decisions. Claude Puel got sacked for less than these performances. And I stuck up for Claude all the way to the last game. And then I had to give in after
Crystal Palace. Exactly the same. Yeah. Crystal Palace. So on that note, I've got some figures for the last 3 managers for the last 7 games. Puel, this is the last 7. He didn't win 1. He drew 1, lost 6, 8-4, 17 against. Shakespeare, 7 again, won 1, drew 3, lost 3, 7 and 9. Ranieri, 7, won 1, drew 1, lost 4, 6 and 12. Rodgers has got a worse record than any of them last 3 managers. And the best manager for the last 7 games? Nigel Pearson. When he won 7 out of the last 9.
Exactly, but different characters, aren't they? Completely different characters. Different. One's about putting their arm around players when things aren't going well. But I don't get it. He did it with Maddison last year. I said this last night. He did it with Maddison when things weren't going well. He put his arm around him. He hasn't done that with Cagliari Sancho, has he? He just chucked him under the bus and get rid of him. We haven't got the money to go and keep spending. I don't get this whole thing that Leicester got lots of money to spend. We will never have lots of money to spend, and we will have to be a club that sells a decent player to go and buy 2 or 3 good players. That's the way it is. We are not global brand big enough to go and do a Man United, a Chelsea, and Arsenal. And we never will be this global brand. People need to remember what the size Leicester City will be, because we haven't got the history of Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham. Yeah. And it is all about history, not just this history. It's all the history in the 70s, the 60s, the 80s, when those teams were winning titles. We've won 1 title. Global brand is all about the past and the future and where the clubs are going. Look at Manchester City. Yeah. They've come from nowhere. They've had a load of money pumped in because they've got a multi-billion-pound heir who can keep pumping it in. The King Power Group can't do this.
Yeah.
But going back to Rodgers and the
Yeah.
transfer front, he can stand and moan, but the last 3 transfer windows, he's the one who signed the players, and he has signed a load of donkeys in some of them, in my opinion. Vestergaard.
Yeah, on that note, Tom, I've got the list who he signed. So he has been backed in the transfer market. The two, like you're going to say, Vestergaard and Bertrand, yes, totally agree, waste of time. What he got Fofana, he got Perez, he got Castagna, he got Dennis Pratt, he bought in JJ, he got Sumer, he got Dakar. I'm not sure how much money was spent there. I think that's nearly probably 200 million, isn't it, on them players? Nearly, I can't remember the exact. And then Vestergaard and Bertrand were a bit of a damp squid. We'll just gloss over them. So he has been backed in the transfer market. Reedy, why can't he get the best out of him, pal? Why? He's the 4th highest paid. He's meant to have the skills and the knowledge and the know-how. I think
we're still kind of overrun with players, to be honest. Like you say, why Bertrand and Vestergaard are never going to fit in anymore. You've got Pratt, who's probably not going to get in front of the main players we've got in the team at the moment. You've got Perez, who isn't really a player that will fit into the team. With a right wing, no chance, because he's not good enough on the wing. He played Madison yesterday on pretty much on the wing. It's pointless because he's our most creative player. And then you've got someone like, who else did you say? Justin. He is playing. And if I'm totally honest, I'm seeing more of the League One side in him now than I've seen before, because he is starting to really slow down on his quality we have seen in him. So there's a few players that's got into that first 11, but a lot of them now are kind of not good enough to fit into the team because your main 11.
Yeah, well, yeah, like the councillor says, the treatment of Pratt, Kell and Cags have been criminal. They were quality players. 2 years ago, they were quality players. I think it was this time 2 years ago, Tom, we played Newcastle at home and won 5-0. I think 8 or 9 of that squad are still there. Pratt scored. I think Nacho got 2. Castagna wasn't there, of course, but Harvey Barnes. What's happened to Harvey Barnes, Tom? Where's that direct running we used to get down the wings and he used to beat players? Now, the first touch he makes, he goes forward a couple of yards and then he comes back. What, Tom, come on, what's different from 2 years ago when we beat Newcastle 5, Southampton 9?
Again, though, his confidence in it, the boy's got none. He's lost everything that was made Harvey Barnes the talk of England international, the talk of the next player to go and break into England on the left-hand side. The player that you couldn't, really understand if you're a fullback, if he was going to cut inside or if he was going to go down the line. He changed it up. Problem is now, all we ever see of him cut inside, and he's starting to become, dare I say this, starting to become another Damari Gray. Cut inside, shoot. Cut inside, shoot. There's no flow to his game anymore. Where beforehand he would be weaving his hips, he'd be going back and forth. He wouldn't know where he was going, and defenders wouldn't know which way to read him or where to run him behind. It's sad to see Harvey not, doing what he was doing beforehand. That injury against Arsenal, he's never really come back after that game and been anywhere the player was. I mean, he didn't have a bad season last year. His stats will say that, but we haven't seen the performances since the Arsenal game in the COVID season where he was a threat every single game. But that he's not the only one, mate, who hasn't done that. As you say, Cagter's lost his confidence and lost his way. And this is why I go back to good managers put their arm around players and make them good players again. Form is temporary, class is permanent. We've seen the class of Barnes. We've seen the class of Castagna. Dennis Pratt is a quality footballer who, when on his day, can be one of the best in that lit team because we know what he can offer. He's an all-brighter. He's a hard worker. His range of passing, his tackling ability. But again, if he's not going to play him every week, again, you get disheartened and you just think, well, why should I even bother when I get brought on for 10 minutes at the end of a game?
Yeah. Jack, cheers for the tenner. Thank you. Morning, guys. Enjoy your channel in terms of managers. I know Frank and Dyche have been mentioned as replacements. However, as an outside choice, would you consider Thomas Tuchel for the manager, Reedy?
I would say yes, but he's not going to. It's like Pochettino. He's not going to come.
Yeah. See, I would love Pochettino and I would love Tuchel. But the money, like Tom's just gone, he's done the old international sign language for money. We just haven't got the money that they want to spend. So unfortunately, as much as I want them pair, Poch first, Sunshine second, and I don't like Sean Dyche, but I think Sean Dyche would be the man to get us out this shit at the minute. I really do.
He's the only man that realistically will come in the position we are in, because I don't think like someone like Tuchel or Pochettino will see us at the bottom of the table and think, I've got to get him out of this. They're not going to.
And he only lives in Kettering, so it's only just down the road, so it's not too far. Not much travelling expenses.
Can I just say there's a lot of, I wouldn't say hype, a lot of like, oh, Thomas Frank. Let's put into perspective. It took Thomas Frank 2 years to build that team to get them out of the Championship, or 2.5 years. It's taken, this is now 4th season or something, or 5th season with them. It took him 4 seasons to build him a good team and a good squad of players. He's not going to walk into Leicester and do what he's done here. You've got to look at the way their transfers and everything's done. They've got a system, a strategy of where they go and buy their players from, how they build their teams around different type of players, how they do everything. We haven't got any of that in place. He'd walk into a football club and have to be a man manager. Sadly, Thomas Frank isn't a man manager. He's a very good coach, and he knows how to set up a system to go and find the right players to fit what he's doing. I don't see Thomas Frank coming in here and getting us out of the mess, sadly. Sean Dyche on the end, as I said last night, a British manager, knows the league, did very well with Burnley most of the time. If you watch the interviews he's done recently, and he talks about systems and patterns of play and how you set up against Liverpool and how you set up against the other clubs, he set up how he set up for Burnley because he had the players to do that. As he said, you go to another football club, you set up differently. You set up with what players you got to play the best out of those players. I don't think Rodgers does that. Rodgers knows one way. Either this 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, what he was forced into. Let's not get wrong. He was forced into this 4-3-3 at the back end of the season. Or the 3-5-2 when we had 2 strikers on the pitch and Vardy and Clearce looked threatening going forward. But again, we've gone back to one striker.
Why has he changed it, Tom? We were banging it. Ketch, he scored, I think, 13 goals.
It's because Barnes is fit. That's the only reason. Barnes is fit, he plays.
But he stopped playing Barnes. He stopped letting Barnes run. He really has. Just going back to the Dyche thing, Andy Medhurst says Dyche would take no shit. He's got, like Tom says, he's got the man management schemes. Same as Nigel Pearson. Not saying I want him back, but he took no shit. He took no shit whatsoever.
Do you think Dyche would be the man? Yeah, would you think he would be the man to just come in and just make sure we don't get relegated, or would you actually keep him long term? And
you'd have to have him long term. You can't just say, do 6 months, keep us up, and then bugger
not
off.
6 months, but like give him a 1 or 2 year contract, see how he does. And like I think Tom said that if he does well after them 2 years, keep him on. But again, I just don't know if Dyche is that man to progress us up the table. It's just him to keep us stable.
I generally think that Sean Dyche is a better manager than what's made out to be, mate. If I'm honest, I think there's a very good technical manager, and he was very forced-handed in what he could do at Burnley with the very limited funds. If you look at the signings they made, they were all between 8 to 10 million. There was no money there for him to spend, and I think he knows the market well enough and where the better players are to go and get them. I also believe that if you gave him an 18-month contract now, if the club are in a good position at the end of next season, you'd then offer him a new improved deal. And I think he'd be a manager who's quite reasonable. If you look at his deals at Burnley, they've never been long-term. They've been 2-3 years max. So I think he'd be quite happy to come into a football club, get himself back into management. A big club, bigger than Burnley football club. You've got to remember he's coming to a bigger club now and say, well, you give me 8 months, I'll prove to you what I can do, in 12 months. And let's sit down this time next year. And if we're turned around in the top half of the league, you then offer me a new contract. And I think that's the way to do it. I generally think we've got to stop getting out these massive contracts, because this time now has put us in a financial messery that we have got to pay Brendan Rodgers, if talks are right, somewhere between 10 to 15 million to get him out of the football club. That's including his backup staff. Well, you've got 4 of them, and one of them has been stealing a living for the last 18 months in Kolo Touré.
We all thought he was the next best thing, didn't we? Like Peter Quincy's just said, Dyche is the man, but what he did at Burnley was superb. It got him into Europe, Reedy. I was going to call you Reese then for a minute. I don't know why. But yeah, he's done the job. He built the team for Burnley more than building the team at Burnley, didn't he? He got all the things back in, and he built it all around them.
I think like Tom said, it's more of how we've not seen him play, because obviously we've always seen really is him at Burnley and how kind of just deadbeat balls to the walls defending they did. But again, that was to what they had. And if I'm totally honest, the only thing I'm not looking forward to Dyche is his voice. I can't be arsed with it.
Hey, you'll have to stop eating gravel for breakfast. But just going on, just about yesterday's game, everyone keeps moaning about Danny Ward.
Oh,
Right, yeah, I know that. But he won save. I know it was one save. I mean, he's had 43 shots on goal and 22 have gone in the back of the net. But he won save of the month
Did he?
against Chelsea.
Did not know that.
Yes. He got he won the save, the keeper save, whatever you call it. And he made a cracking save yesterday. Yeah. He's a good keeper, but I don't think he's. Do we need to replace him, Tom?
Let's firstly be realistic about yesterday. The first goal, maybe you should be doing a little bit better at the near post when the ball comes in. But again, for me, defensively, we're all over the place. As it was pointed out in Match of the Day, your two centre halves have pulled up out the box or, moved up 5 to 6 yards and everyone else is standing way behind them. What can Danny Ward do when it's dropped on that kind of area with Harry Kane in there? Not a lot. The second goal, look, we can moan about corners, but for me, it's a great header by Dyer. That header to get your net backwards and flick it sideways, fair play to him. The third goal,
Tom, just on the corner. Why don't we have a man on the back post?
Well, exactly, set up again wrong, weren't we? We've
We've
got a new set piece coach.
We've got a new man that's come in, a set piece coach that's meant to be one of the best in the world. That's travelled around the world doing this.
I don't think you can rely on him. I don't think you can rely on him from that first game. I don't think it's going to just change in an instant.
Well, he's had a week. That James Maddison interview, they said they put hours and hours in training, in set piece training this week. You listen to that interview, and that's what pissed them off even more. Why? The first thing I would do is have a man on the back post so Ward can command the front post. The amount
I'd
of
have
goals
man front and back, mate. I don't get that.
Maddison has said they keep trying for that sixth ball. When he takes his corners, he tries to get it on the 6 yard corner of the 6 yard box so they can flick it into the far post. The first thing, you put a man on that post. Goal not conceded, man clears it off.
The curious question, sorry, Tom,
Sorry.
with this set piece coach, if Rodgers gets sacked or walks, does the set piece coach go as well? Or do we keep
that'd be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Really,
that'd be very interesting.
Because obviously it's his team. He obviously brought him in, so if he goes, does his whole team go?
Yeah, yeah. Hello, pal. How are you, mate?
Hi.
put him back in there.
Yeah, that would be interesting if he does go after one game, if he does get sacked before the Forest game.
Yeah, I'm not sure what will happen there, but I do hope something happens well before the Forest game. It would be nice if we could get something from the something's got to change, Tom. Something has to change, doesn't it, pal?
Well, just quickly, I was going to say was third goal. Can't really blame Ward.
Yeah.
Give the ball away. What can you say? Can't really do that. The Son goals. Well, the first one is just a worldie. I mean, two centre halves should be closing him down, or at least trying to foul him there. I don't care if you get a yellow card or not. In my view, he's coming towards you. Do a Wesolowski and chop him if you have to. It really didn't make any difference in my view. The fifth goal was criminal because he's on his left foot and where he wants to go, and JJ doesn't even stop it. But again, he's overloaded at the back post. And then what can you say by the point of the sixth goal and Song running through? Again, it's one-on-one. It takes it, but he sort of saves it, don't you? I just don't think Danny Ward can be blamed for 4 or 5 of those goals yesterday. There's not much you can do when the quality of finishing was that as good it was. But there's certain points in his game still. His commanding in the box worries me. He doesn't. We had it with Casper. I also think that one reason Casper left was because Danny Ward got put in that game when he was about to make 150 appearances. I think that's one reason that Casper went out. Do you know what? If that's what you're going to do on my 150th Premier League straight appearance to drop me for a goalkeeper who hasn't played much, I think that was probably the reason Casper went. What do we do? Well, it's simple. Rodgers has to go. And I generally don't think it'll happen. If it's not happened today, it won't happen tomorrow. It will either be Tuesday. If it does happen Tuesday, then that tells me Rodgers is not going anywhere until after the international break or the Forest game. What I generally is going to be weird sitting in that ground against Nottingham Forest with him being the manager and not having fans there to support him because the fans are gone, mate. Or what is it? 7% of the fans said he should still keep his job. But I can't see how if a goal goes in against Forest, the toxicity of that ground. When that goes in, can you imagine how it will turn on the players and turn on Rodgers? Not just like behind the goal, but even in the along the your seats and everything. It's just going to be horrible in there. And I just generally hope I hope that Top has made the decision, mate. I really do hope that him and Susan Whelan. Let's not put anything else. Susan Whelan's involved in this, and Mr. Rudkin as well. You know, Mr. Rudkin for me is stealing. Another one stealing is living for a football club too long. He's been here too long now. His feet are on the table. He's dead wood. He should have gone a long time ago, John Rudkin. But he's another one who's been around the block, somehow manages to keep his job year in, year out, even when things aren't going well, because it's like Top trusts him. And I don't get why. I don't get why when there's so many poor transfer windows and so much money being spent, like Vestergaard, 78 million. If I was a chairman looking at players' wages and going, John, why are we paying him 75,000 a week when Fulham
Yeah, 75 million, Jesus.
Yes, 75,000 a week when Fulham aren't only offering 35. What's going on here, John? These figures don't match up, because we're offering this much, but a club who wants him to take him will only offer him 30 grand left. Can you explain this to me? Because they're the questions I'd be asking. And if he can't explain them good enough, then he's the one who should be out the door as well.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, reader. Bill Evans, what happens if we win if he's still in charge and we win the next 3 games? Would you still want him gone?
I think Sam said it before. It's like paving over the cracks. You can win as many games as you want in a row. You've seen it already in these 6 games now. And I said before the Spurs game, if Wood starts alone, don't get me wrong, you can't blame him for everything, but the even decisions into the starting 11 has to change to have a sort of impact to win the game. And he's just keeping the same players in that probably should be dropped at times and should be taking more of a risk at putting some players in like Pratt, like Sumare. I don't get why he wasn't playing against Spurs yesterday. So for me, even if you win your next 3 games, it's still a lot harder.
Yeah, here's one for you. Subs. We were 3-2 down. After what, 47 minutes was it? They scored after 2 minutes in the second half. Why did he leave it so long? We were 3-2 down. Why, Tom? Why didn't we make them changes before?
As soon as you put that, I was thinking back to the tweet. I put a tweet at about 80th minute, 89th minute when the 5th goal went in. It was once again 2 away games on the trot. 2 aways on the trot that we've been drawing 2-2 at half time and completely crumbled second half. Biggest question of the game though, at 3-1, 3-2 down, why we left it to literally the 70th minute mark to change it, and then they've scored again. And before you know it, those subs mean nothing, because there's no way Vardy and Nacho is coming on and scoring 2 more goals. You should have been 60th minute. Give them 15 minutes. Right, boys, we're 3-1 down. Right, we're going to change it. Dragging you. Right, boys, you've got 30 minutes now. Try and get something from this game. If you concede it then, you concede it. At least you made the subs 10 minutes early and given them some time to make an impact. Problem is, he left it too late. The lads are tiring, and before you know it, the 4th goal's gone in. Once again, poor game management.
We made one sub. Hold on, Reedy. We made one sub, and it changed the game. It changed the game because at the same time, Brentford made 3 subs, and it changed the game for them. Yesterday, he just got no tactical nonce, has he? Nous, sorry, not nonce. That's the wrong choice of words. Nous. He's just got no. The knowledge is gone. What? Reedy, come on, help me out. I don't know. It needed changing.
By the 75th minute, I was speaking to my dad because he was next to me. He was saying that you don't need to change it because we are playing okay. We're at 3-2. We had a few chances. Daka with that diving header, a few different things going in for us. We were getting the attacks, and I felt like, yes, we were taking a bit too long with the subs, but the moment them subs came on, and then the goal went in, it was like, okay, so why didn't you do that a bit earlier to try and involve more attacks? But either way, I can probably kind of back both ways. We were playing okay with the team we had out, but we did need fresh players in that team. And like you said, that 4th goal goes in, and it was just game over all over.
Can I just respond to that, mate?
Go on, Tom.
Can I just respond to Reedy? Look, Reedy, I completely agree with you saying, and Tom, we are playing well. But when you look over your shoulder and you're going, they're bringing Song on, they're bringing so on, they're bringing so on, they're bringing so. They made 4 subs before we made our 1. By that point, they've put all their fresh legs on. They put their fresh legs on between 60 and 70 minutes. They're 5 subs now for a reason. And teams are getting used to 5 subs because it means they can put fresh legs on. And if teams don't react quick enough to those fresh legs, then this is what's going to happen in the Premier League now. Teams are there'll be bigger scorelines, I promise you that now, because if managers don't react, the fresh legs will run through the teams. And that's what happened yesterday.
It's like Mark Watson said, we've got to be proactive, not react. We don't. Brendan Rodgers doesn't seem to be proactive, like Mark Watson said, which he said against the Brentford game when he was sitting at the bar watching the game with me, and I've not used it until now. We've got to be proactive, and we're just not. He just is not.
We've got to be the one to change the team before the opponent.
We're probably on the front foot.
Yeah,
100% on the front foot.
Look at rugby. If the front row gets changed for one team, the other front team don't leave the front row on. They go and change all three of their front row, so they got the fresh legs on. So it's an even competition because they know if they leave them on too long, as soon as you get a scrum, the other team's just going to power through them. It's the same in football. If you've seen the midfielders being changed on the middle of the park, we're going to get overrun here, boys, because they're going to have fresh legs in there. You change something, or even before they do. As soon as you see their players going out to warm up, you know within 5 minutes he's going to be making a change. He should be going, Vards, go on, mate. Kelechi, go on. Everyone get warmed up there, making changes. We've got to keep going with these boys now. But we don't. Yeah. He just stands there with his hands in his pockets, writes a couple of notes, and goes, oh, I suppose about 70 minutes. Oh, 70 minutes now. It's like, oh, I better make a change, otherwise someone's going to moan at me. I generally feel he does it because I don't think he cares. I generally don't think he cares anymore, mate. I generally think he's trying to get sacked.
Even in his press conference after the game, you could say, well, it's up to the board now. So he seems to know it's the way he was talking. I think he knows it's on his way.
Do you think if Dyche comes, though, he'll be the same? Would you think he'll be the same kind of stature as Rodgers and how he kind of does it? I don't think he'll be the sort of player, manager be running down the pitch when we've scored a goal.
I'll tell you what you will get from Sean Dyche. You'll get teams that want to battle for the ball, fight for the ball, passion. There'll be leaders, there'll be leadership on that part, and there'll be spirit. He will go in that changing room and give them a right fucking bollocking if at half time nothing is right. He will G him up before the game, not standing there writing notes to go in there, oh yeah, pass it on, give it to someone else and do this. None of this tippy-tappy football. You will not see this tippy-tappy football. At one point in that game, we're in the penalty box. There was 3 players could have shot in the first half. There was 3 players. And what did they decide to do? Play it back to each other. Somebody said to me, well, that's down to the players. I said, no, it's down to the mentality that Brendan Rodgers has installed in them. Playing this tippy-tappy football. Have a fucking shot in the penalty box. Not try and find someone. Anything could happen. Have a shot.
You will never see someone like, sorry, Tom, quickly. You will never see someone like Maddison taking a shot like Son does. He just thought, I've got room. Bang.
There was one point in particular in that first half, and I think Tom knows, he's shaking his head. They went into the box. They could have shot. 3 players could have shot, but they tried to find another player in space. Have a shot. Deflection past the keeper. Deflection past to another player in an open. Not try and pick the perfect goal. We haven't got the players to play this tippy-tappy football, Tom.
The one you're talking about is the Maddison to Tielemans, back to Maddison, back to Tielemans, back heel, and then we completely fluffed it up. But the point was going to be going back in, and people would say you're going back in time here, but go back to the title-winning season. Watch the video. Watch Casper's face in bit of the words. Teams have gone too much about tippy-tappy football. Why do we have to make 10 passes when we can do it in one? And they were Casper Michael's words. Why do we have to make 10 passes when you can do it in one? Because it works. And
look at Maddison's goal yesterday, Tom. Agree with me. Kieran Dewsbury ball, Crossfield ball. Yes, Castagna was a bit lucky. Yes, he was lucky to get the knockdown. But he managed ball across, Maddison straight in. No tippy-tappy football there. It was direct football. It was like the days of old.
I don't think that's the thing. I think the reason why we kind of went away from that was after the year we won the league. Ranieri tried to kind of instill his kind of more of how he wants to play into the team. It just didn't work. But we just couldn't do that ball over the top every game because it's just going to be too guessable.
No,
and it's just
I'm not expecting that. Really.
Everyone knows.
Oh no, I'm not expecting it all the time. But again, go on, Tom.
I'm just going to say, yesterday, in my opinion, like the third goal is so avoidable. You know, the mentality is you pass. And I've said it time and time again. And Diddy is not a ball-playing defensive midfielder. He's great. If you look at his last 18 months when he's starting to go downhill, it's when Rodgers has tried to force him to pass out from the back and take more possession of the football. It started at Chelsea away 2 years ago when we drew 1-1, and he gave the ball away on the edge of the area and Mount scored. If you remember rightly, it's the same kind of thing. Johnny Evans passed to him. He took a touch. He doesn't like taking touches. He doesn't like the ball at his feet. It's not his natural game. His natural game is win the ball, pass it 5 yards. For me, when the ball came back to Johnny Evans, there should have been no doubt of it. Either go back to Ward and go long, or turn around and himself knock it into the channel. But like we can talk about, obviously this tippy tappy, and this is why Vardy's not getting the chances because we're so slow building up around the box that Vardy's got no space in there.
I would much rather lose the ball to a header on the halfway line than 6 yards outside my own penalty box because you're putting yourself in an awful lot of shit.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, and that's Roger. That is Rogers, as you say, mentality to the players. You pass it. But when you've got a defensive midfielder who's not comfortable on the ball, Samari, again, I don't get why he got dropped because I thought the 2 games before that, his movement, his passing ability, the willingness to get on the ball and turn away, and he's got a very good swivel on him. If you watch him turn, he can do, the strikers for fun.
That's the problem with Rodgers, though. He'll just put Ndidi in because he's one of our best players. Like his quality at times, and he'll take the ball off players. So he's just relying on that.
But there's no point in taking the ball and then being told you're going to have to keep it for a minute, or you're going to have to pass it to Johnny, who's then going to pass it back to you, and then you're going to have to pass it wide or pass it forward because he just doesn't have that vision of passing. And he hasn't got it in his locker, mate. He just generally looks uncomfortable on the ball. You give the ball to him, everyone knows it now. Just get into him. He'll lose it. He'll give the ball away because it's not his game. Yeah. That's why, for me, Rodgers is not. You're not playing to the strength of the plays. He's playing the way Rodgers wants to play. You bring Dyche in, he'll play to his strength. And did he win the ball? You pass it to him. That will be the simple. He will simplify the game. I don't think he'll get away with passing football because he knows how to play the passing game. A lot of people say just get wide, whip it in. He wouldn't do that at Leicester for me. He'd come in and do different pieces. But I generally think you're asking too much of Wilfred Ndidi to set up link and play. It doesn't work.
Just on this last comment, because some of us have to work on a Sunday before we go. Craig Pearson, big mate of mine. Who gives a shit to have more possession? I want to go down the King Power and be excited with great forward play. Tom, you've got to agree with that, haven't you? Because what we're seeing in the King Power is absolutely awful at the minute, isn't it?
Let's go back 2 years. We have had possession-based football, but moving the ball quickly. The games against Arsenal, against Villa, Chelsea, there was games where we were ripping teams apart. That 8-game winning, it's not long. It's only 2 years ago. We won 8 games in a row, and we were threatening. We then came up against Norwich and we drew. And since that day, everything's completely gone downhill. I tried to be positive as I can with Brendan, and I'll give him the benefit of doubt we had. But we would play some really attractive, sided football, but it's gone. And the players have, for me, given up. And like you say, I don't see how now he changes this back around again because I don't feel the players trust him and trust what he's doing. And I also think the players have lost the respect for him. Vardy kicked off against Man United when he got subbed. What's funny now? He hasn't played the last 2 games. Kasanya gets BBC Radio Leicester interview. He completely disagrees with what Brendan Rodgers says. He gets dropped for 2 games. If you go against Rodgers, you're getting dropped. Now, to me, that's just really poor management in my view. And if you can't listen to your players when they're trying to tell you something as a manager, and this is just my opinion, if a player comes to you and they're trying to give you some advice, I don't care if you're the 4th highest paid manager in the league. It doesn't mean you're the 4th best manager in the league. Take it, because sometimes you might not be right what you're trying to do, and sometimes the players might be trying to help you, Brendan, and trying to say we're not comfortable with what we're doing here, and you've got to change it. But he's too stubborn, and that stubbornness now really. To be honest, mate, it's tarnished his legacy at the football club. If he had left, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 games ago and just put his hand up and gone, it ain't working. I'm sorry, I'm going to go. That was the end of it. He would have a lot more respect than just holding out to get a payoff, because now it just looks like he's being greedy to get the money. And sadly, if any club now look at him, they're going to think, look what happened at Leicester, look what happened at Chelsea, look at Swansea and stuff. He went to big clubs, look at Liverpool. He gets to a point and players get bored of playing for him. They're bored of playing for him now for me.
Yeah. All right, and Tom, cheers for that this morning. I've got to go to work in a minute, so thanks a lot, matey. We shall see you through the week, pal. Be good. Oh, it's International Week next week, isn't it? Oh, God.
Enjoy the international break.
Great.
I think I'll chuck out later on Twitter. There'll be another post coming up from 101 greatest goals. I've done a quick stint for them again today, so give that a watch. And enjoy your week or 2 weeks without no football and without any disappointments in your lives, Leicester fans.
See you later, Tom. Thanks a lot, matey. Cheers, pal.
See you, mate. Bye.
See you later. Reedy. See you later, mate. Love you, mate. Love you. Thanks for coming on.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah, just on that one note, Andy Meadows, last comment. I'm dreading the Forest game.
No, I'm happy for it.
Yeah, you're seeing all your old mates.
Bring it on.
Reedy, we shall see you later, pal.
See you in a bit.
See you later, lads and lasses. Thank you. Right, much appreciated. Some of us have got to go work. I know I keep banging on about work, but some of us have to. I shall see you later. So it's ciao, ciao, adios, goodbye. Top of the morning to you. Shall I be using that very soon? Will I be saying that? We'll have to wait and see. Cheers all. Come on, you foxes.
Well, thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. Make sure to follow us on all of our social channels at Leicester Fan TV. Visit our website, leicesterfantv.com.